Hey there, Cheryl Luckett. Welcome to the show. How the hell are you?
I am fantastic.
It is so good to see you. It's been a hot minute since I've been out in civilization and seen you. But I've seen you at High Point and in different events, so it's like just talking to a friend.
Yeah, it's been a while though. It's good to see you too.
Yeah, I love seeing friendly faces. It makes this job so much easier for me. So today, Cheryl, we're going to dive into something I can relate to and something I think that might resonate with the audience, or at least several in the audience who might be listening who are maybe they're not interior designers yet and they have a job. They have a job in corporate America and they're kicking around following their bliss and following their talent and getting into the interior design field, which reliving it a little bit in my head is a little scary,
It
right?
is, but I
I'm
highly
sure.
recommend it.
Good. Yeah, me too. I'm sure you can relate. So you have such an interesting past, and I told the audience in your bio, you're a registered dietitian, human resources professional, white collar in an office, doing corporate gigs. What the hell possessed you? Let's just start with that.
Okay, so to be clear, I am definitely someone who comes to design from as a second career from corporate, but I've always been a creative. Like many designers, my room was my playground, my haven. It was the most organized, prettiest space in my entire house. Fast forward to leaving home, leaving the nest, going to college. My room was the room that they toured prospective students through and in the dormitory. So, the signs were always there. Um, actually had parents that were educators. My dad was my middle school principal. My mom was a high school guidance counselor. So to say that they steered me in a particular career path is an understatement. So that's kind of how I got in the career field that I landed in. Definitely picked something a little bit more practical, at least from my standpoint in 1994. Healthcare was big then. I knew I didn't want to be a doctor. Thought about physical therapy. Landed in nutrition. My mom had a friend who was a registered dietitian, so at least I had a point of contact there. I went on to complete my degree in nutrition. Actually, my degree is in home economics, family and consumer science, which ironically includes the discipline of interior design.
There you
So
go.
I really have come full circle here, but it was a long, long way around. So I completed my undergraduate degree, went on to do my dietetic internship, came out of college, started working in public health, had a little short stint there, and then landed this fantastic dream job for a dietitian at a Fortune 500 company in food service management. So this was around the time when school lunch was becoming um, a hotbed for improvements in terms of health and nutrition. So we were at the forefront of that. I remember them changing us making menus that had whole grain pizza crust and, introducing fresh fruits and vegetables. So it was an exciting job. I actually really liked it. I had a lot of opportunity. I traveled. So while I never was really super passionate about the subject, I really did like my job. Okay. So I did this for about 10 years in the same company. The job grew, my territory grew. I was running, burning up the road. And I'm getting a little older now, and I'm starting to get tapped for opportunities. People are asking me, what do you want to do? Do you want to climb the ladder? Something in me at that point, because now I'm like 35-ish, something is like, I don't know if I want to be here forever. Like, there is this it? So I started to have that little internal struggle around the same time I had purchased my first single family home. I'd started to nest, decorating, I started gardening, and it was just igniting something that was always there underneath the surface. And so I'm having this crisis at work, like, I don't know if I want to climb the corporate ladder. I'm really liking this, designing my home thing, entertaining, it's so fun. So I said, you know what? I'm definitely a type A. I'm not making any leaps. So let's just take a little course at the community college. I mean, what could it hurt? Like, I got some time on my hands. At that time, I changed jobs from dietetics, same company, and I moved into HR. I was the director of diversity and inclusion. So it was a kind of a lateral move, but it got me off the road. I was able to slow down a little bit more. So that gave me that time to go back to school at night. So took the first class. It was basic drafting. I fell in love. Absolutely fell in love. Met a girl there who just randomly said, you should start a blog. I didn't even know what that was. This was like 2011. I'm like, what are you talking about? What? I have no idea what a blog is. So she explained to me. She's like, you do all this stuff at your house. It's so cute. You should blog about it. So I did. And that led to clients within my circle of influence because I made everybody that I knew sign up to read the blog and they followed along. And so they're like, oh, that's really cute. Can you come to my house? I need some help. My dining room needs a refresh. My kids' room needs to be done. I'm having a baby. So I just started doing this, and I'm kind of a type A personality. And so I would photograph it. I didn't know what I was doing at all. I was making it up as I went, but it was working. And fast forward a couple of years, a couple of classes later, I'm starting to think I might be on to something here. I might need a plan to get out of corporate. And so that's where Project 36, as I called it, came to be.
Project 36.
Project 36 was my 36-month exit strategy out of corporate. So I gave myself 3 years.
Okay, that's a good plan.
3 years. I'm like, okay, this was scary, right? I'm a single girl. Like I'm in a job I've been in now for like 12 years. I've got vacation and benefits and stock bonus and all the things.
Right, exactly.
So I'm like, how do I turn this ship? I've found something I'm passionate about. I think I could make a go of it, but I'm not making a leap like that. So I said, well, what's the thing that would keep you from making that move? And for me, it really was mostly financial. I was getting more confident in my ability. I knew I would continue to grow. I was learning, going back to school. Really, the big elephant in the room was, how do I make this work financially? And so I hired a financial planner, and I literally went to her that first meeting. I said, I want to leave my job in 36 months. Help. And we set out a plan to chip away at student loans and get money stashed away so that I felt comfortable. And so I had the financial plan now in place. I had the education plan in place. I started to really focus on brand, some brand development stuff. Like, all right, what conferences do I need to attend while I can finance it through my job? What investments do I need to make? Let's go ahead and start building the website. The blog is fine, but we're going to need something a little better if this is going to be our bread and butter. So I did all of those things, and I basically just backed it up 36 months. I'm like, okay, by 24 months, I need to do this. By 12 months, I need to do this. And it really the plan just unfolded over time. And the more those months ticked away, the more comfortable and confident I became in the leap. So I know there's a lot of ways to do this. Some people are like, I'm out, peace. That was not for me. I needed to be a little more strategic.
So let me dig into a couple points there, Cheryl, before we go on. I love your story. It's amazing. And you did this so smartly, so smart. So I know that there are listeners in the audience who are like, F my job. I'm 2 weeks notice. I'm out of here. And I got to be honest with you, 100% transparency. I almost did that. I did plan a little bit. I did my side hustle and I did do a little financial planning, but I was fortunate enough to have a pension and have an early pension and stuff. So that did help offset some of that 36 months. But that 3 years, that is discipline. That is focus. That is eyes on the prize. And I have, budding interior designers who consult with me or ask me, how did you do it? I know you were in law enforcement, you changed careers. And the first thing I tell them is to have a plan. Don't just get hot-headed and quit, and make sure you have money in the bank, because it isn't an inexpensive undertaking. And the second thing I want to point out and make sure people are hearing is that you actually went to school for interior design. You had all your ducks in a row. So there's nothing. There's no surprises. Everything is well thought out. So good on you. I love that. And can you make it going out there and just throwing everything to it? Yeah, maybe. but the way you're doing it, everything is stacked in your favor. So well done. Well done. I love to hear it. Okay. Please continue.
Well, I mean, I think you summed it up really lovely. For me, it was important to do it that way. I'm just not. I'm a little bit risk averse. I'm not. I need a plan and I need to work the plan. But it also gave me a chance. Social media played a big role in that brand piece. Because the whole time I was going to work, I was posting, you know, 3 times a day. I knew before I went to work what I was posting on my lunch break. That allowed me to engage in a community that I wasn't in at that point, not full time anyway. So it helped me to have that time to build the demand for my service before I needed a demand for my service.
Yes. And that is a really good point. And speaking in this, I almost want to say post-COVID era, but we're not. It's almost post-COVID era, right? So the interior design industry has had a really tremendous 2 years.
Yep.
Really, back orders,
Yes.
busy. We're backlogged and waiting lists and stuff. So you have to get ahead of that null, right? You kept your pipeline full by putting that out there and building that brand reach and awareness. And I love hearing that. What else did you do that was amazing and 100% right, Cheryl?
Well, I'm very much a storyteller, so I brought people along on the journey. Now, I did not publicize. I didn't tell my parents I was leaving my full time
Oh, yeah.
job, good job, until like Thanksgiving before the Christmas exit. So I didn't really put it out there, but I did take people on the journey with me. They knew I worked full time. They knew I was in school. They knew I was building a business, side hustling. So when I made that, and I'm all about pump and circumstance. Like I will create my own. So, that's kind of how I built my business. That's also how I built the exodus. So people were very bought into the story. They have been following me now for 3-4 years. So when I took the slow motion video of me leaving the corporate ivory tower, and jumped in the air, like people were bought into that. Oh my gosh, she's doing it. Yes. So to this day, every December 31st, I post that video, as a marker to the fact not only that I execute the plan and make that leap, but I'm still here, thriving. You can too. So it's just part of it is the storytelling and bringing the people along with the journey so that they're invested. And, a lot of those people have become clients.
A book that I've recommended often on the show. I don't know if you're familiar with it. I want to say it's Donald. Is it Donald Miller?
Donald Miller.
Building a Story Brand. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's perfect. That's relationship selling, right? In a way, because you're building that story brand and getting that know, like, and trust, and getting people to invested in you and what you're putting down. I love it. This is such great advice. Okay, so fast forward a little bit. We're in our design firm. We're running our own design firm under your own shingle, right?
Yep.
Dwell, right? And Cheryl Luckett.
Dwell by Cheryl. Mm-hmm.
Cheryl Luckett Interiors, Dwell by Cheryl, right? How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic.
What struggles, what obstacles did you learn that came up right away? Did you have a mentor? Tell me what that looks like.
Okay. So again, I did a lot of planning. I did a lot of investing. That was also a part of that strategy from the very beginning. I mean, I went to design conferences. I went to like one of the first design bloggers conferences because remember, I started out with a blog. So I took my PTO time, flew to LA, did not know anybody, met all kinds of people I'm still friends with to this day. And that was kind of me investing in myself and my growth, which paid dividends later on, right? Because now I got relationships with people who were on an upward trajectory before I even got over here full time. And you need those kinds of relationships and mentors and people who are ahead on the path. So I would say that pre-investment while I was still working was really important. But once I made the leap, I continued to invest in myself. So I'm out here, I've built the demand, people are calling, now I've got more capacity because I'm doing it full time. Still learning. I mean, let's be honest, I'm still learning to this day. You learn a little bit every project and you make changes accordingly. But I had the demand, but I still felt like, I need to continue this growth because it's a different game now. Side hustling and full-time entrepreneurship are two completely different things. So I hired a coach. who, Kim Cutable, Me by Design, has a book, branding interior design book. I hired her. We worked together. I was in her group coaching program. Then I was in her one-on-one programs for a couple of rounds. And that really, it was a significant investment, but it really helped me to understand that this really is an inside game. Like, the pretty there, a lot of people can make a room pretty, but in order to be able to show up for your business and sell your services and serve people, you really got to have your mind right. So there's a lot of that mind work that has to help happen. So that for me is what the coaching provided. New insights to how I was thinking and blockers that I might, just a whole lot of unpacking stuff. So that really was probably in the very beginning stages the best move I made.
You're not the first interior designer as a guest who said that. We had Julianne Hendrickson on most recently, episode 258, who said the same thing. She hired her business coach pretty early on, and that was a huge difference. And a lot of people are hesitant to make that investment, especially early on, and will wait and wait and wait until things get kind of tangled up and ugly. And then it's kind of like a going,
backwards,
deconstructing it, right? So how important on a scale of 1 to 10 do you think it is to hire a legitimate business coach right in the very beginning?
12.
Okay.
I say that because you don't know what you don't know.
Yes.
You have no clue. I had no clue when I think about the things that she helped me work through, and just knowing how to frame what you're offering is so, like, it will save you so much time, energy, effort. I can't hardly explain how much of an impact. And it wasn't these are not things about, how to track, how to chart. This is more like you have an inherent value and you are serving other people by showing up. And that is worth something. So you go to the table, right, with some confidence because that's what you're here to do. And so that really allowed me to just blossom in a way that I don't think I could have on my own. Like, I was viewing it very much from a business tactical standpoint. She helped to lift the veil and allow me to see it from a much bigger standpoint. I don't know. I'm probably sounding a little woo-woo, but it is a little woo-woo.
There's a little bit of woo-woo. And before you were like, when I took that leap, but it wasn't like a blind faith leap, right? With all your planning and everything. So that is a huge difference. So that's one part of the game is how am I going to run my business? What is my positioning? What does my business model look like? Another part of the interior design game that's a really big pain in the butt is systems and processes. What does my contract look like? What does my onboarding look like? That little nitty gritty and operations and logistics. And were you able to learn that with the business coach as well, or what were your resources there?
I did not. But I am definitely a person who watches other people and learn. So, she really helped me more with mindset, branding, visibility, big picture stuff. For those other things, I mean, honestly, the free resources, the Luann's podcast.
Sure.
I've always been a Toby Farrelly follower from the very beginning, from my early blog days. So she shares a lot of information. I really learned a lot of that. Plus, I mean, don't get me wrong, I came from a business background, at a Fortune 500 where I picked up a lot of business traits there.
Oh, yeah.
So I brought all of those over here with me. So I might have known enough to be dangerous, but I knew something.
And by Luann's podcast, of course, we're talking about Luann Niagara of a Well-Designed Business Podcast, who is the GOAT.
Yes.
In the interior design industry. Yeah. That's how actually she motivated me to get my start.
Awesome.
In interior design, which led me here to Wingnut Social, which is
probably how I know you.
The love of my life. Yeah. Exactly.
So, those kinds of resources help me to fine tune systems and processes. I also hired pretty early, and I hired for my deficiency. I am definitely more the entrepreneur in terms of my role in my company. So I do the big thinking, the selling, the marketing. I hired someone who was a systems kind of gal, and that's her superpower. So she likes she can see the big picture, but she wants to get in the nitty gritty and figure it out. Like, that's her thing. That is not my thing. So when I sought to hire a design assistant who became my operations manager, who went back to school and is now my operations manager slash junior designer, she's grown with me. But when I hired her, I was hiring for a deficiency that I knew that I had. Like, okay, Cheryl, we're growing a little bit more. We need a second pair of hands, number one, but we also need to hire someone who has a different skill set than we do.
Yeah, I love that. I did the same because I wasn't even as far as advanced as you. I did not go to school for interior design, so I knew that I needed to hire those for those deficiencies, the people who had the more technical knowledge and the more practical knowledge. And like if I wanted to knock down a wall or something, I wanted to make sure that nothing fell on my head while I was doing it. So yeah, I hired pretty quickly as well. So and that might not be your experience in the audience. That might not. Maybe you are the technical and able to just hold it all down. That's just Cheryl's and that's one path to do that.
So that kind of opened up hiring someone, opened up a little bit more capacity. And I I'm really glad that I did it when I did. I think I did it in year two out of. So I went one full year before I'm like, I need some help. you know, the reality setting in like, I probably could do a whole lot more if I just had one extra person. So we brought her on. I would say the other thing that I've done right is really honing in on who am I here to serve. Now that took a little time to get clear on. It's very hard, we hear a lot, well, who's your ideal client? Who when you're starting out, that's kind of hard. Like, how do you know you haven't worked with an assortment of people sometimes to know who your ideal is. So I paid attention in those beginning stages and I started to see a pattern. Okay, how do I work best? How am I able to do my best work? What type of person is that works well with me, where in the end the result is fantastic, everybody's happy, I've had an enjoyable time. So once I got clear on that, then I started baking in processes that weeded everybody else out. And honestly, today, that is my happiness, that is my peace. I probably wouldn't be doing this 5 years later if I hadn't done the work to figure out who are my people.
Yeah, that's so important. I can relate to that as well because, and you're right. I remember I've told the story a couple times. Nicole Heimer of Glory and Brand and I sat down together and she's like, "What makes you different? Who's your ideal client?" I'm like, "Hell if I know." Because you don't have the experience. You kind of have to have a couple of headaches, a couple of ideal clients to realize, yes, I'd love to work with them again, and oh hell no.
Yep.
And then you can whittle that down, I should say. So, how is it that you're making that differentiation now? What does your filter look like?
So I put a lot of course we have those number one, I'm not casual. Like, I am Miss Buttoned Up, process for everything start to finish. If you land in my DMs, you will be ushered to the front door. Like, that's just not my style. I'm not, lax and, ooh, let's talk. No. Set up a call, step A, step B, so that's number one. So we ushered them to the front door, and we have, of course, the inquiry form that has a little bit of a few filters on it that hopefully lets people self-select out.
Like budget?
Yes, like budget.
Okay.
Like budget, like timeline, like a dialogue box that allows some people to hang themselves in it. Like, give me something to work with so I know that when I'm showing up for a call, what I'm working with. Okay. So that call, though, my discovery call, I know who I'm serving, and who I serve are very busy people who are bosses in their life, both men and women. And so they don't have a whole lot of time. So I'm not one of those who has a big, long questionnaire, but I am very, very intuitive when it comes to people and listening and really hearing what they're saying. So my discovery call is really set up to weed out people. So I literally have a script. I have a script that I print out every time I have a discovery call to this day. I know what it says, but I need to just make sure I'm checking off what I said, because sometimes, you go left.
Yes.
So I still to this day print out the discovery call script, and I go down and I, tell me about your project. And so I let them talk, and I'm just listening. I'm listening for, how do they already have it figured out? Are they willing to relinquish control? Because my people are. Are they really invested in name brands, or have they already been shopping? Do they have a vision? Like, I'm just listening. So once they go through all of that, then I take the reins and I tell them about my process, and I'm very clear that this might not work for you, but I want to make sure that we're a good fit. I want to make sure I'm not going to frustrate you in the process. So here's how my service works. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. Here's what you can expect in terms of budget. You said you wanted to do your bedroom and your living room. Well, we know typically our bedrooms are X, our living rooms are this. Does that sound good to you? Okay. Well, I should tell you that, we are very good at delivering for our clients. We're really good listeners. We want you to be happy, but what we don't do is we really don't design alongside our clientele. So when I say that, I mean, we're probably not going to bring you 17 wallpapers and say, which one do you like best? And then go back and pick out things that go with that one wall. We're going to bring you a holistic design. We're going to listen to you. We're going to hopefully deliver exactly what you want, even if you didn't know you wanted it. But we don't do that together. So I just want to make sure I say that, because some people really envision going to the store and meeting up at the tile shop and picking the things together. That's not really my process. So I'm just trying to weed out the people who are not mine.
You're setting up those expectations and
yes, from the very first conversation. So now we talk budget, we talk process, we talked the fact that they're going to have to let Cheryl drive. If any of those are a problem, and then of course now we talk timeline. So all of those things allow me to weed out people who are not for me very easily before I step foot on their property.
Are you doing all the intakes? Are you doing all the discovery calls?
I do with anybody who is full service or renovation. Now we offer some little lower level services like VIP consults. We kind of have a process for that. I don't talk to those people, but anybody we're going to be in a long-term relationship with, yes, I am.
And how many employees do you have now, Cheryl?
Well, funny enough, I'm making an offer today for my second. So it'll be a team of 3. We're a lean and mean team, but I happen to have landed the best employee this side of glory, because she is fantastic. She's probably worth 5 employees. So she's 5, I'm 3. We really got a team of 8.
I love it.
And then we're adding one more. So
you mentioned before that you're doing the big picture stuff. So, and as the principal of your firm, that's called the rainmaker, right?
That's exactly right.
Making it rain for you, and your 2 employees. Congrats on your new hire. Cheryl, is there anything that you think the audience needs to hear in addition to what we've talked about that I may have forgotten to ask you before we get into the What Up Wingnut round?
I don't know. I mean, I'm very passionate about serving people with, I feel like this is my gift. This is what I'm here to do. So glad I made the pivot. It is not easy. It's not always easy, but it is super fulfilling. And I really go into it with a service mindset. How can I help somebody have something that I've been gifted with that they couldn't have on their own without me? So that really helps me in the big scheme. When you get in the weeds and you're like, oh God, they're driving me crazy. If I keep that in mind, like Cheryl, you're helping them have a home and ultimately a life that they couldn't produce on their own. So having that service mentality really helps me to keep my eyes focused and, maybe not so crazy.
A terrific reminder and a good way to stay sane and to approach those projects with gratitude when you want to murder them.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, you ready for the What Up Wingnut round?
Yeah, let's do it.
Now it's time for What Up Wingnut.
What would the hashtag on your tombstone be?
Oh, shoot. Hashtag on my tombstone.
Did you not get these questions in the email?
I probably did, but I was probably prepared the first time. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to go with this. You're never fully dressed without a smile.
Oh, Little Orphan Annie.
Mm-hmm.
You're stuck on a deserted island, but you can have your favorite food forever. What is it?
Fried rice.
That's a new one. We haven't had that one yet. Last but not least, please recommend a book that has impacted you either personally or professionally.
Catherine Ponder's The Dynamic Laws of Prosperity.
Okay, and why?
That really was a book that helped me understand the power that the mind has. And I certainly use that in my day-to-day in terms of mindset, how I approach clients, how I handle the tough times, when the phone wasn't ringing, really keeping focused on the prosperity principles, which she goes into in her book. And it was a game changer for me. I've read it like 5 times.
I just added it to my Audible queue. I'm gonna download that when we hang up.
Real woo-woo, but there's a lot in there that's really good.
That's okay. I'm kind of woo-woo. I'm kind of woo-woo. As long as there's some something, as long as there's some physics behind it that can explain it, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Cheryl Luckett, please tell the listeners where they can go to find out more about you, and we'll call it a day.
All right. You can find me at Dwell by Cheryl on all social media platforms. I have a product line that launched at High Point Market with Wildwood Lighting, which you can see more of at wildwoodlamps.com.
Awesome. Cheryl, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Last but not least, please recommend a book that has impacted you either personally or professionally.
I know it. I'm trying to think of the name of it. Hold on. You're gonna have to edit this one.